to start with my education, so after completing my BCom from Kurukshetra University, I did my LLB and LLM and MBA in majors in finance and international business. And thereafter, because being a topper of MBA, I was picked up by a textile major Oswald's group from the campus itself, and I started my professional journey from a textile company. So moving from there, I went into automobile companies and then a major oil and gas company, that is Total Lubricants. It is one of the big 4 oil companies in the world. And there I looked after their legal, taxation and IPR matters. And after that, I got a breakthrough in EPC companies. That was a major hydropower company. This was Andritz Hydro, where I got a chance to establish their commercial department. And I found interest because in this commercial field of EPC company, both my legal and commercial skills, my MBA and LLB, both skills were required, and I was able to use them. So I established their commercial department, and thereafter I developed interest in EPC sector. And then moving from that power company, I went to oil and gas major, that is Air Liquide, and then to heavy engineering and a company, blue chip company of India, into boilers, that is ISJAC Heavy Engineering Limited. So after completing these 24 years of professional experience, I find that I need to spread my wings and I need to contribute for a major cause, that is EPC sector in India, particularly in India. I started my own venture by the name of Chisel Hammer Consulting. So right now I am helping EPC contractor in excelling into their project execution through consulting them in various fields. I take you why of my organization. Right now I am CEO of Chisel Hammer Consulting. So if you see that India is a budding economy and we are planning to reach up to $5 trillion economy by 2025. And out of this, major chunk would be going to infrastructure sector, and that would be around $1.4 trillion. So infrastructure for any countries or any country's economy is not only the indicator, but also a key driver also. But on the contrary, you would see in India, many major EPC companies are today into liquidations. Hundreds of companies last 3-4 years have gone into liquidations, and these were big companies. You know, one big company falling down means it causes a silent death for hundreds of contractors. So this was my why. During my exposure to the EPC sector, I have been researching, despite being such a budding sector, why does the contractor fail? Why so many companies are failing? So I did research on that, and I found some basic facts in that. There are 5 major reasons. Number 1, contracting. Number 2, financing. Number 3, regulatory environment. Number 4, payment issues. And number 5, litigation or arbitration environment in the country. First and foremost, we go on contracting. You know what happens in India, just like self-medication, many companies they make their own contracts. They just pick up any old contract, change the name and some particulars, and then they sign the contract. They ignore the early signs in the contract, thinking that these are standard terms and contract. Later on, this becomes the root cause of the dispute. You know, for EPC companies, major reason is dispute and litigation that not only eat away their profits, but also their capital. So this was the why of establishing Chisel Hammer Consulting. I want to help those companies to, tamsoma jyotirgamay, to move from ignorance to knowledge, to move from, darkness to light. First and foremost thing is the contracts. While signing the contract, every word mentioned in the contract is important. Do not ignore any single word. And if there are risks, you have to take those risks knowingly, calculatively. Tomorrow they should not come as a surprise. You know what happens in India while signing a contract is these are just formalities. We have to rely upon our relationship. Moving forward, the relationship fades away, contracts come into picture, and then the party who says that we signed on your trust, we signed on just your words, they have no escape at all. So my company starts, it's a 5 level of awareness. First of all, litigation and dispute, we have to nip it in the bud. We have to minimize it. So on the pyramid, we have to just put them in the corner, first top corner. Second, we have to layer it with the second line, that is the consulting. For example, some projects have already gone into that space where disputes are expected to be arisen. So we provide them the consulting, how to safeguard your interest. Below that, audits and review. It's just like health check. Before any surprises come in, let's get our health check done. Let's have contracts review done, and then find out whether there are any risks budding up, whether there is any risk underlying in the contract, and so that we can mitigate those risks. And then on the fourth layer comes workshops. So we do live workshop on active projects. For example, contract reading workshop is a pioneer in this industry that has been started by my Chiselhammer Consulting, wherein we work on live projects. We read contracts threadbare, find out the risks, find out the opportunities, and from the beginning itself, we go planned in that way. And on the bottom, the biggest layer is trainings. I feel that training is at most important for any field, and EPC is also no exception. So we provide trainings to the project managers or the other key executions persons so that they can execute the project well in a well-planned manner. And all these goes in a simplistic and format-based methods. So this is my company, actually why of my company and what of my company. So EPC related registration, if I say, is the contract law only, because these are contract based projects. So everything's come under the 4 boundaries of the contract. And if we go forward, obviously arbitration law, NCLT provisions. So these also come into picture. What I feel is that to make EPC sector a success in country, we need certain revolutionary changes in the legislations. First of all, we need to have a strict law against unconscionable contract clauses. What happens is, in India, especially public sector companies, they have some clauses in their contract which are clearly one-sided. And to the contractors, they have only one option: sign the dotted line or just leave it. So many contractors under that pressure, they sign the dotted line. But since the contractors are also, well versed, they have their legal teams, they cannot take advantage of section 16 of the contract law, that is undue influence, which can render the contract unconscionable. So ultimately what happens is, due to those clauses, one-sided clauses, contractor has to suffer at the later stage. So we need to formulate contract, especially for public sector enterprises, on the line of FIDIC. FIDIC especially is considered word-wise like a balanced contract form, standard contract forms, and it has been adopted in many countries. So wherever the international contracts are there, they prefer to follow FIDIC guidelines or the FIDIC form of the contract. In India also, Niti Aayog is making a standard contract, but still I would say that there are gaps as far as equal distribution of risks and opportunities are concerned. So first and foremost, the country will have to make such standard contract, because we are a budding economy, we are a growing economy. So we need to make basic changes in the contract laws, especially in the standard form of the contract, so that contractors find a level playing field and they get equal opportunity and they get less risk allotted to them. Second thing, COVID in fact has taught us a lot of lessons. When COVID came, the question was, who will bear the cost? As far as employers were concerned, they were trying to pass on it to the contractors, and contractors were concerned, they were trying to pass on it to the employers. So there were no standard formula as to who will bear the cost in what proportion. So everybody was whosoever had the bigger influence, whosoever had more power, so he called the shot. So especially in COVID-like situation, we should make some clauses, we should make some laws wherein we can formulate some strategies as to how the risk would be allocated in such situations, unprecedented situations. Number 3, payment terms. We must have a legislature regarding the security of the payment. MSME Act certainly had protected the interest of MSME companies, but similar legislature is required for big companies also, the companies which are outside the ambit of MSME. So we must have some security laws where at least the genuine payments are sure. Most of the companies die because of the cash flow. Cash flow is like an oxygen for the company. So when payments are delayed, they do not have any option. They do not want to go through the long route of litigation. They just have to plead to the employer to make the payments, who make the payments on their own wish. By that time, their cash flow goes haywire and they have to suffer a lot. So in these fields, I think we need to do a lot of work as far as law is concerned. So as far as definition of success is concerned, so I read somewhere that success is not doing what is right. It is doing what works. So ultimately, we have to have our own objective, our own goal, which we want to achieve, and we should do everything that is required to achieve that goal. So as far as my own success is concerned, for me, finances are settled, family is settled. So it is now making giving my bit to the nature, giving my bit to this life. So making changes in somebody's life, if I am able to make any positive change in anybody's life, that is success for me. But I said that my wife or organization is making changes into young project managers. If I am able to tell them, if I am able to improve them, empower them by training or by suggestions or by guidance, wherein they can perform well in their career, it is success to me. What happens is, if I am able to get any result that is right, for example, if I am able to get any judgment in my favor, that I pleaded for the right cause, that is success for me. As a lawyer, we also go for a right cause. And when we win that case, when we win that cause, this is success for us. As far as my suggestions to budding corporate executives or the young people who are looking forward to their careers. So if I say that failures and success, yesterday I saw a movie where it was asked what is the difference between failure and success. The question was हार और जीत में क्या फर्क है? The answer was मान लो तो हार, ठान लो तो जीत. So no failure is permanent. You have to just go on with you should be convinced about your goal. You should be convinced about your efforts. You should be convinced about your own purpose, and then go on. Just ignore small failures. They are temporary. Ultimately, in long run, you are going to be succeed. If your cause is right, if your purpose is right, take guidance from the seniors. Just get it health check. As I say, just like health check, just get it checked from them, reviewed from them. Am I on the right path? What are the changes I need to bring into my practice? Is there anything I need to do better? So take continuous suggestions from your seniors, find out a mentor, and with his help, just go on the ladder of your career. You will be ultimately be successful. In fact, everybody whom I meet in my daily life, I try to learn something from him. And seeing energetic young people, if I say, I love to be amongst them, and they keep me motivated to achieve my own objective and help them in their careers.